There is nothing like a good sports romance. Sports tend to be beyond what you probably first think of: tennis, football, American or otherwise, and I don't know, baseball, hockey, Formula One, NASCAR. Did I check off the boxes that you first thought of? What about rugby? What about badminton? What about swimming? Did you think of those? How about competitive walking? How about ping pong? Did you think of that? There's so much more we can explore. So, the conversation I have today with a lovely set of authors talks about what a sports romance is, what we as a community should be asking for more of, things that we as authors would like to write but aren't sure everyone wants to read, some of the other underlying things that we can discuss: women in sports and how they play a role. Are they the athlete, coach, strength trainer, doctor, or something else entirely? Is it okay for the man to be the support system? Let's get into it. If everyone can start with a little bit of introduction, how you got started as an author, why you're here today. Courtney, let's start with you.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Courtney Clark-Michaels and I am from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I've been publishing since 2021, so coming up on 4 years now. And I got started with my first book, Pregnant by the Prince, which is set in a fictional Polynesian island based on Samoa. And I have always loved writing and reading because they go hand in hand. And I was encouraged by actually an author friend who I knew called Barbara DeLeo, who writes amazing small town romance. And she literally said to me, if you write something, I'll read it. And I was stunned by the idea that someone would actually read something that came out of my brain. So I immediately went home and started working on something. And she read it and she's like, carry on. This is good. So everything I have ever achieved since I owe to Barbara DeLeo.
Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you.
Brittany.
All right. Hi, my name is Brittany Arreguin. I started publishing in 2024, and I have been a long time reader and less so writer. But when I was growing up, I would always love to write like short stories, and I was a big theater kid growing up, so I would love to do like plays, and I wanted to like be a playwright for like the longest time growing up. But my writing novels kind of started because of being sheltered in place in 2020. So I was reading a lot. I couldn't leave my house. And I was kind of just inspired by, all the things I read and just having that creative mindset to just try it out for my own. And then I decided to take that chance in 2024 and I've been writing ever since.
Yay. Happy to have you. Timber.
Thank you for having me. I'm Tember Sapphire from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. If anyone doesn't know where St. Lucia is, I get that a lot. But I started writing. I don't think I can remember when I started writing because I love writing. I love reading. I'm a Wattpad baby. I love Wattpad as a teen. I eat like sleep, breathe Wattpad, in the peak Wattpad era. That was me. I wrote on Wattpad. I love literature. I've always been a literature student. So I figured maybe it's time that I write stories featuring people who look like me. So I think that is what inspired my writing the most, not seeing people who look like me in books, because all of my FMCs are from the Caribbean, St. Lucia specifically in my ongoing series. So I'd say that's what inspired me to become a writer.
Awesome. And yes, I think we can all say to an extent it's hard to see a representation of ourselves, depending on like different parts of your background in books. A little bit more prevalent now, but definitely not so much before the last 5 or so years, I think. Ashlyn.
Hi, I am Ashlyn Harmon. Um, I have basically been writing my whole life. I was 9 when I wrote my first fan fiction, and it was Anne of Green Gables fan fiction. Like, I was dedicated. um, and I just always wrote, but dreamed of being a writer, dreamed of being an author. But I really didn't get serious about it until I experienced a loss in my family that really shook my world. I did 10 years of doing blogging for professional swimming with my best friend. So at that time, I had lost somebody, and that side of my life was coming to an end too. And I wrote maybe one day to cope and deal with it, and I haven't stopped. So, yeah.
It's a dedication to your friend, like to the friendship, to something you loved, and then also a way to continue like on with it. So that's lovely.
Absolutely.
And Anna,
So I have also always kind of written. I grew up with a Dalmatian, and I used to do like picture books of him as a kid, and I loved that. I think I still have one. But then growing up, I always liked to tell stories, and it was actually my grandparents who got me into it, and they also got me into football and sports in general. My family wasn't huge into sports, so I definitely gravitated after that towards sports romance and like sports books in general. And yeah, I really owe a lot to my grandparents for that. But I've always been a writer. I've always been a reader. I was also huge on Wattpad for a very long time. Like peak when One Direction fan fictions were everywhere, and even before that. So I love everything to do with reading and writing, and I really just wanted to share my stories. For sure.
I think I had phased out of Wattpad by One Direction time, but I do recall all of that being there, like AO3 and all the deep dive into the yes, it's some good stuff. But so writing sports, we tend to think of hockey and football, baseball, soccer, Formula One's getting big now, but there are other sports. I'm not sure why we always kind of relegate and go toward that, but there are other sports. There's swimming, like Ashlyn mentioned, having blogged in swimming for a decade. There's, I don't know, competitive ping pong, pick a dang thing. Like there's so much more to it. I'm guilty of writing American football because Timber writes football, which we in America call soccer. But and Anna, you just mentioned growing up with football. Like it's a passion that both of us share. We talked about that when we met at Sports Romance Con. But I'm just curious, why does it seem that we, as a sports writing community, kind of go to these typical, more known sports than any other ones? Why? How do we show that there's so much more than the ones that we always see? And like, why do we kind of stay in that area? What do y'all think?
I think in some ways it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because as we see certain subgenres or certain sports grow within the genre, more people jump on that because they can see that it's having popularity. And so therefore, when we're looking for books, it's almost like the market's flooded or biased towards certain sports because people have started writing those sports as a way to, like, not in a bad way at all, but as a way to find new readers. For me, because I'm not American, because I come from a country that has very different sporting passions, it's fun in that sense because those aren't sports I'm overly familiar with. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little bit of the unfamiliar for me to read about American football. So I play fantasy football with my husband because I am competitive, but I am not athletic.
Yeah.
And I And so, but that's as far as I get. Actual American football, 3 hours for a 60-minute game. You must be joking. In the winter. Never. But
And that's only if you're watching one game, because my fiance watches it all day. We watch it all day.
Because we get ESPN over here too. So I get up at like 6 in the morning on a Monday and Red Zone is on, and I was like, we got things to do, baby. We got to get these kids to school. Because of course with the time difference is happening on Monday over here. So for me, I like that it's familiar enough that I'm like, okay, quarterbacks throw the ball, and goalies stop the puck getting in on ice because we're like a field hockey country. And so like it's familiar enough because I've seen it in media and stuff growing up, but I don't have to be like, oh, that wouldn't happen because it's not a sport I'm familiar enough with to understand. Whereas if I'm watching a sport that's maybe more centered in my culture, I'm like, oh, that's not how that works. But one thing I really miss is I do like watching basketball quite a lot, the NBA and the WNBA. And like Kennedy Ryan and Mika James, they're doing like beautiful things in those spaces. But I do wish that there was more basketball romance because in terms of sports to watch, I find that far more interesting.
I think it's a lot more fast paced in basketball, but a lot of people don't necessarily understand basketball to write about it. So there's also that. Like there's an extent I think we have, and I guess that's where, as you just pointed out, Mika James and Kennedy Ryan, for example, and then we have like Nicole Falls and a couple of other people who write basketball as well that I can think of off the top of my head. But standing out is kind of hard when it's a lot of people writing a particular sport. When there's not a lot, it's a little bit easier. We don't see a whole lot of basketball in NBA or WNBA. So the three people that were mentioned, it's kind of easy to be like, oh yeah, these people. And then, but you think like hockey or even football or, you know, now Formula One. I've seen names of, and I don't remember none of them people no more. It's just,
I remember my faves. Like if someone I already like
yeah,
is writing in a certain sport, I'll remember them. But if it's somebody I'm not already familiar with, like it just blows right past me a lot of the time.
So how do we stand out?
Well, I'll jump in here since I think, well, with my series, I write different sports.
You
So
do?
book one is football or soccer, book two is hockey, book three is athletics, and book four is cricket.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the reason why most of the other sports are popular, like football and, well, American football and hockey, is because the romance industry is predominantly American. So they choose what's popular. If you look at the wider world, sports world, we know that soccer or football is the most popular sport. You have cricket, but you don't see those books as compared to the hockeys or the American football.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whoever controls the industry controls what's popular.
That's very true.
And it kind of turns authors off of writing because everybody's interested in writing to market. Why would you write a sport that nobody knows because it might not sell? And it's a risk that you're taking to step away from what's normal or what's popular.
Yeah.
Hockey's what's trending, so everybody will try to write a hockey romance because you know there's an audience for that. But you're right. I wrote the sports that I'm passionate about, like track and field and cricket. These are my two most favorite sports. So I wanted to write a romance about that because I'm like, why aren't there more of them?
Yeah.
So hopefully, people will feel inspired and the tides will change because I know every season something else pops up that's popular. Like you said, F1 is now popular.
Yeah.
So hopefully cricket gets its big break. I hope. But I think it's just people being more open to writing other sports and readers being open to reading the sports. And in sports romance, what I realized, well, there are two types of sports romance: the sport heavy romance and the romance heavy sports romance.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really an excuse that, oh, I don't
No.
understand the sports or know what is going on. There is a book out there for you that probably they never play. You never see them on a field. You never see them hit a ball. So, but you just know it's a sports romance because it's an athlete. So
Yeah.
I think we may have to be part of the change, but it's mostly readers being the biggest catalyst for the change, because without people buying it, why would you write it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that we have to kind of decide how to go about um, how much we're going to push something to. Carmen Lee wrote Bowling, and that was after
Yep.
10 or 15 of us told her, like, you need to write this because people are going to want it. And she's like, no one's going to want a bowling romance. And she got a book deal from it. So, like, we kind of have to trust ourselves because that was something she did. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
had told us, like, oh, yeah, I bowled in college. And we were like, people bowl in college? Like, what? She's like, I had a whole scholarship off of it. So it was just really fascinating
Mm-hmm.
because I had no idea that was a thing. It wasn't at my college. But like, people enjoy the book. Like, we can see the reviews popping up on social media occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, so obviously other sports that are underrepresented, there's space if we try to put them out there, but it is scary. Like you said, cricket is a passion that you have, but we don't really see it. So how do we take the leap of faith to
Mm-hmm.
hope that people will be interested in it? Did anyone else want to jump in on this one?
I
Yeah, I
mean,
will.
oh. Okay. I completely agree with Tember. I think as a because I also do developmental editing, there's that whole thing, right to market,
Hmm.
write what the readers want. But I'm a firm believer that that doesn't necessarily mean, oh, your sports romance has to be hockey or it has to be football. There's other conventions within the genre and the subgenre that you can hit. And for me, I had never really seen I've never really seen a swimming romance. Of course, as I was writing, Allie Hazelwood came out with Deep End, which I am finally reading, so stay tuned. um, but I definitely hadn't seen swimming romances with plus size female leads. And when it came to what I wanted to accomplish with my books from a sport aspect that I was passionate about, it was basically the same goal that my best friend and I had the entire time we were running the blog. And that's to get people to realize Michael Phelps doesn't show up at a pool a month before the Olympic trials and just have no training, nothing else is happening, and just, hey, here's all my gold medals. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
And, there's a whole, and I mean, I really focus on the mental health aspect of what being a professional athlete feels like, especially because I saw so many swimmers following the London Olympics, the Rio Games, the Tokyo Games really struggle with that post Olympic depression. Like, hey,
Hmm.
you hit the highest goal. What the hell do you do now? And
Yeah.
that is a continued theme throughout all my books. And it includes what happens when you achieve that dream and then have to walk away from it. Where do you go from there? What happens when achieving that dream takes everything out of you and you're so stuck? And then what happens when you don't get the chance to achieve that dream because some outside force, an injury, a car accident, whatever, takes you from that? And so I was sitting there, I'm like, I don't know how to comp title. Like, I don't know any comp titles that really fit the swimming world. So I had to look within my books and find other conventions that I was like, oh, okay, no, this is how I can compare it. Because you can write to market without solely focusing in on one thing that is popular.
Yeah. Anna, you were gonna.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I was basically going to say that is that, like, writing to market is, as somebody who does marketing, like, it is important in a way to an extent. Like, you want to do something that is both going to sell, well, because you need to make money to keep writing, unfortunately, sometimes, while also wanting to stand out and wanting, because otherwise you're also not going to sell. if everything is always the same.
Yeah.
So it's hard because it is, like everyone said, like right now the US controls the market and whatnot, and we generally write what we know half the time. You know, people from other countries, they write, you know, what they know. And I think that's beautiful. I do want to see a lot of more diversity in the sports romance world of these sports. I love cricket romance. I have never seen somebody play cricket in real life, but I love them. And all of these things. I mean, I grew up a competitive archer, actually, and I've been like, oh, I kind of want to write a book about that. But it's also like that whole community is very opposite me. It's largely right-wing white men.
Write it better, Anna, because I want to do the competitive archer one now.
I
Write
think
a
it would
super
be
liberal
so fun.
competitive archer book just for me, please.
I want to.
Do it.
Because that's actually why I like stopped competing, because it was like such, it's just not my demographic that I want to hang out with.
Yeah.
My fiance keeps being like, join a league, and I'm like, no. But it's, I think we write what we know and what we're comfortable with. But I also think that's important when it comes to a sport in like research and stuff, because I think a lot of us are very much like, we want to write accurate sports too, and not, if you write what you're passionate about, you're going to, you know, write better sports, and that's going to be seen. So I would like to see us as a community way more open to different sports though, and I think rugby is getting big right now. It's on the rise. Yeah. I'm so excited for it. So I'm excited for kind of a new wave, hopefully, of sports coming in, and like whenever that happens, we're going to see a spike of those. So I'm crossing my fingers for it.
I think that's also such a benefit when we're indie, a lot of us, is because we do have the freedom to write what we like. And then, of course, when it cycles around, because it will, you know, we're ready. We're there. We've got the book. We don't have to write to market because all of a sudden we are the market. And like I write rugby romance, and I noticed a spike during the Olympics, because even though I'm writing male characters, male sports athletes in the team, the work of Alona Ma and our New Zealand Black Ferns Sevens team, love you girls, actually taught one of them when she was in high school. So I'm very proud. Like, people are like, oh, I wish there was rugby romance. And I'm like, it's me. And like Tember said, you know, I'm not a cricket fan, but when Cricket World Cup rolls around, yeah, let's go. No offense to cricket fans. My apologies. It's just, it's length. I have a short attention span. American football, cricket, they're both very long games. You know, and then when, you know, 2020 kicks off and everyone's like, oh, I wish I had a cricket romance. I'm like, well, actually, Tember Sapphire, you know, we're already sitting there. We are the market. So I think, you know, people want to write to market because they feel like it gives them more chance of success. But writing what we like and what we're passionate about is going to set us up in a more long-term way, especially because it'll feel more authentic, I think, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Courtney. I can tell if I have a client book that she just wrote to sell to market, she, he, they, whoever, just wrote to sell to market, because it does miss that authenticity and the real emotional depth. It's just like, here is a book. I followed all, you know, the genre convention steps, and I did it. And yes, you did do it. Great, fabulous. Let's add to it. Let's see what else we can do. Because at the end of the day, I think our readers want to find something that resonates with them in a character, in a world. And just kind of doing that cookie cutter recipe of writing to market without putting your passion, putting your joy into it, is definitely obvious. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And to that, Ashlyn, I think that, and I myself was guilty of this when I put out my first sport romance, because I was like, hockey is big, but I am, as a person of color, you're like, okay, but like, how can I try and like make myself distinguished into writing a hockey romance with a hockey athlete of a marginalized identity? Unfortunately, that's not what people want anymore. They don't they still want the white man hockey romance, which is fine. I
Is it?
I was gonna say, I don't think so.
I mean,
100% I'm fine.
I am, I had to give credit to Elle Kennedy for getting me into hockey romance when I was reading, her series. And so I see the romances that are out there, and some friends that I have who are who write really good books that, don't feature characters of color, because, they also want to realize that, if you are going to do that, consult a sensitivity reader. Don't take away space from an author of marginalized identity. To do that work, that if they're passionate about it, they should already, they should do it for, themselves, to promote their identity and all that stuff. But I think, yeah, the unfortunate reality is that influence of what people are reading, what Instagram, TikTok, social media is promoting, drives a lot of what we write. And to everyone's point, I would love to write a sport that not many people talk about. Is what I'm struggling with right now, because I decided I wanted to write golf. And but golf is like, California is home to so many beautiful golf courses. And to the other point too, like, golf is like one of those sports where you can write like rich people behaving badly and it's like normal. So that's why I decided to write it.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that, like, with things like the Olympics, 2026, we're going to see a lot of winter Olympic stuff, probably. 2028, the summer will come back around, and hopefully as people are getting in tune to that, then they can, digest romances that kind of follow the same cadence of what's being like popular at that moment. That's just the way the marketing works in the world, which is unfortunate, but this is why we have these conversations, because we are the ones that are going to, hopefully drive people to finding other books that, may be out of their quote unquote comfort zone.
Yeah.
And again, I would definitely read a golf romance, because I will not watch something that takes long.
She keeps teasing it on Instagram, and every time she does, I'm like, Brittany, I need this in my hand right now. Like, come on.
It's no good on Instagram
so
to us, is it?
It's like editing it is so hard right now. But it's just because
I told you.
I'll send you you can read my docs. That's fine. I'll send it to you later.
Okay, you better.
Send it to all of us. We're in a group chat now. We're all reading this.
You're a beta reader now. We got this. Let's do this.
Yeah, but to kind of go real quick, sorry, to kind of go along with Brittany, in my third book, Yesterday I Cared, I finally, like, the romance is very important, but with the MMC Ronin, I was finally given the opportunity to really discuss like golf, swimming is a very rich white sport. I'm aware of that. It is full of systemic and economic divides, and I really finally got to address that with Ronan, because he runs a nonprofit that tries to bridge that gap and bring swimming lessons to marginalized communities, especially because water safety is so important. And, I don't want to give too much away, but, I want to make sure that the story that he's telling, even though he decides to have his happily ever after where he is, that the continuation of his goal is carried on by somebody who really deserves it and really knows how to meet the needs. And I make sure that happens, because I could never afford. I mean, I'm a moderate middle class, daughter, and going to in high school, I could have never afforded to do competitive swimming. It's so expensive. exclusive. So yeah.
I was a sports photographer for, I don't know, like a year or so. I did it while I was in school, so I got to have all these random opportunities for workshops that I didn't have to pay for because my school paid for them, and I got to film um, track was fun, all the track and field activities, but also competitive swimming and tennis and all these random things. And I've kind of kept those nuggets in the back of my mind because I don't understand none of that, but it was pretty to watch and take pictures of.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I've been, since I dove, like I started in football. My only series out right now that's sports romance is American football, but there's a spinoff from it with their little sister, which is not a I don't know, what word am I looking for? Secret. She's a beach volleyball player, and so she's trying out for the Olympics. So it's going to go into all of the Olympic sports when I go into her series and highlight the in my opinion, underrepresented ones and female athletes, especially. So like, I think that those are ways that we can kind of pull things that are interesting to us. I don't know nothing about none of them sports that I'm looking into, like none of them. But guess what I'm gonna do? I'm going to sit down and read and the rules and watch matches or whatever they're called that they're doing. I don't know, when they spin around and throw the little thingy. Like I know off the top of my head I can't think of nothing right now because it is what it is. But it's just, I think as everyone has pointed out, we have to look outside the conventions of what is the norm and how we can go into it and do it with respect. And if we're going to do a sports heavy thing, we need to do our research. And if it's going to be more romance heavy with them just being an athlete and it mentioned and sprinkled through, then fine. But just make sure you're still accurate in what you are talking about within it. Um, and I guess to that notion, and I think everyone kind of touched on it already, but I'm just curious. But is there, if sports romance wasn't where you started, and even if it was, what drew you to writing sports romance when you could kind of focus on any other subgenre within romance itself? Timber, let's start with you.
Well, for me, sports has always been my life. I don't play sports, but I think that's what led me to sports. So I grew up watching the football World Cup, or soccer World Cup, the Olympics. That's like a tradition in my family. We watch every single one of them. So I've always loved sports, but since I couldn't play, I decided to go the administrative route of sports. So my bachelor's degree is in sports sciences, my master's is in sport and exercise biomechanics. So I figured, why not write what I know? So I love romance. So to me, the most logical thing for me to begin with was sports romance because it's my world. That's what I do. I have a non-profit in sports that focuses on women in sports and raising awareness for gender equality in sports. So that is why in my series you'd see that the women either they're athletes or involved in sports, but they're all in sports. So that's what led me to sports romance.
Brittany.
Yeah, I like a lot of people here. I grew up with sports. My dad was like Courtney was saying on Sunday, that's what my dad would do was just pull up the NFL on Sunday, and I that was our church. Like we went to the TV in the living room to watch Sunday football. And I'm also blessed to be in living and growing up in an area where where there's so many professional sports organizations around us. I can go watch baseball any day of the week if I wanted to. Football less so because there's only 17 games out of the season, but I could drive there, tailgate with friends. It's just really easy, and I'm really lucky to be in an area where I could drive to watch a sporting event. And so that's kind of what we did growing up. Like my dad took me to watch like Oakland A's games and Warriors games when they played at Oracle Arena by the Coliseum in Oakland. It was just so like, and I was just enthralled in like the just action of everything. I was like, basketball. We were talking about basketball earlier. I love watching basketball, just because I like how fast paced it is. Where American football is very slow. Basketball is quick. You're gonna you blink and then someone got fouled and you're like, what happened? But that's what's fun about it, because you're just seeing people basketball players are racking up 100-point games. And then I liked it a lot, and I got really inspired by Moneyball. If you know the story of Moneyball, it's about the Oakland A's, and very statistic leaning, recruitment based story. I was when I was younger, I was like, I want to be the stats guy. I want to take baseball statistics and be an agent. That never happened. But the closest thing I got to that was scorekeeping my brother's little league games. So that kept me enthralled in watching small children play baseball. Yeah, it's just kind of been around me, and I'm lucky to be in an area where I can do that and go to sporting events. And I do thank my dad for exposing me to that as a part of my life.
Courtney.
So I'm actually exactly the opposite. I'm not athletic. I'm actually deeply uncoordinated. And I don't have a lot of lung capacity. And I always came at sports from quite a critical perspective, which I don't always think is a bad thing, because I do think sometimes sports needs critique, particularly sports where there's a lot of men playing it. So my sister is very athletic, very sporty. She was a national rowing champion in high school. She did triathlons and basketball and netball and tried to do rugby, but my dad was like, no, I don't want you to break your nose. We've paid so much for those teeth. And so she runs marathons and it's hideous. So I spend a lot of time on the sidelines of sports with a book. Athletics as well, Tember, a lot of time on the sides of an athletic track. And I had some really bad experiences actually growing up with student athletes and stuff in school, who were cool and I was not cool. And it became, it wasn't great. I didn't have a healthy, or I didn't have a positive view of sports, particularly sports like rugby, where the culture can have a tendency to be quite toxic. And so two big major factors influenced me. So the first was meeting my husband, who was a rugby player. And he hit on me a while before we got together, but I actually assumed that it was some kind of joke or dare and I just blew him off completely. And he still mentions it sometimes, because all of his rugby mates were standing around and he came to shoot a shot and I was like, go away. And the second thing was that I found Amy Andrews' Rugby Romance books, the Sydney Smoke series, and I owe a lot to that. It's very much led to me being inspired to write sports romance at the same time as I was developing a relationship with this person, and I was brought into that world, and I was very uncomfortable the first couple of seasons, things like going to the aftermatch function, and all of these relationships were already established, and it was all around this one thing that I'd sort of decided that I hated, but I was being supportive. But really that found family kind of element brought me in, and that's something that I really work on in my books, and I love seeing in any sports romance, is that found family element, because I think that's actually a huge part of the culture, particularly in adults. I think I still have critiques of the way that, high school athletics certainly treats athletes. But I think as adults, certainly, or new adults, there's a lot healthier relationships that the players sort of have with each other and with the sport and with the community that they are representing or playing for or with. And so seeing it from that side, when I come at it from a critical point of view, was quite good in getting me to like question myself and renegotiate my understanding of sports and the people who played it, the passions they had, and the relationships they had with each other. And so when I write it, I do still like to have that undercurrent of, you know, hey, we got to be careful that we do this in the right way and that we're here for the right reasons and that we treat people well.
Yeah.
Because that's something that, you know, that always sort of impacted my view of it. And it's something I think I've done so well. And I love seeing in other writers' work because I do think that point of connection, because they're all there for the same reason. And that is, you know, usually love of the game, is a really important thing. And I like human connection. That's my point for romance in particular. So bringing that element in has helped me.
That's I didn't know that about you. I don't think we ever talked about that before.
No, it's very, you know, we're an opposites attract trope. We are.
Living your own little meet cute romance story out.
It is. It's my single dad opposites attract sports romance, and I had to learn a lot as well. My dad was like, "It's much nicer watching rugby with you because you still talk as much, but now you know what you're talking about."
Like, thanks, Dad. Anna, what drew you to writing sports romance?
So I'm a deeply sentimental person to like a really annoying extent. Like my therapist and I talk about it often. And I
Same.
grew up my childhood was kind of rough. I did not have a great relationship with my parents for a very long time, and going to Maryland and spending time with my grandparents was my favorite thing in the world. And bonding with my grandfather specifically over football was really exciting, you know, coming up with Ray Lewis and, you know, calling him after every game and talking about it. I still, to this day, I'm, to be honest, happiest in Baltimore at one of the stadiums going to watch baseball or football. So I have loved the game for so long, and I have this deep connection to it through my grandparents, which has been hard this year with the passing of my grandmother and everything. Like, it's been a lot of emotions for me this year when it comes to sports too. But overall, I knew that I wanted to write sports romances. My first two books were spy romances, which I also have a deep connection to because I grew up also watching like spy media. And so I tend to kind of write for comfort. And when the spy romances were like, these are getting too real for like real life, I was like, I'm going to write a sports romance. And it actually, I love fantasy football. Fantasy football is like, literally when fall starts, my entire life is just football. My fiance plays flag football. We were actually just in Baltimore the other week because he had like a flag football competition. So my entire life is just football. From September, actually from like now, with preseason games even, until next year. And so we were actually drafting for fantasy football when I got the idea for Love on the Waiver Wire. So it's a fantasy football themed romance. But there's something so comforting to me about sports, especially American football, that just kind of feels like a blanket, and then I'm like, I feel cozy here. But overall, I just love the found family aspect of it too, as somebody, again, who grew up and wasn't really close with a lot of my family. And I also didn't have a ton of like really close friends. I'm also really shy. Like in real life, I literally came up to Rae at Sports Room and I was like, hi. I'm like, we've talked a little. And I've made it a goal for myself for this next Sports Romance Con to like be like a little more out there and make more friends.
Hard.
It's
We
hard.
clung to each other. We were like, you, me, and Lillian. we were like, hi. So this is our little circle now.
Yeah, I was like, I want to talk to everyone, but I don't know if they want to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the found family aspect of it is really important to me because everyone is a family, like right or wrong, and the issues that are in it that we do need to face and everything, they are very close knit. Even the wags, you know, the wag culture of sorts. And so like my current series is the football players, and then it is a close knit group of friends. And a lot of the time, you know, they understand what everyone is going through, you know, because they're all going through it together. And I think that there's something special about that. And there's something special about writing friendships that, like, you know, as I have grown older, I do have closer friends. I am closer to my family now. But there's just something about writing found family, especially, that just feels so at home and feels so good.
Yeah.
That I love it so much. But yeah, Sports Room, like in general, it's a way to connect me to my grandparents for sure as well. So, and I love sports. I love all of them though. Like I want to read literally everything. So, and I hope to write more. So, like more sports, because I think they can be comforting too.
Yeah. Ashlyn, you had mentioned earlier with your blog that you were writing your swimming blog with your friend, and how that partly was what led you to write your swimming romance. Is that the only thing that kind of pulled you towards sports romance, or was there
No.
more that kind of was like, I need to do this?
So I grew up in a sporty adjacent family. Like we weren't sporty, but except my dad playing golf. But like my uncle was a minor league baseball player. You know, we grew up with baseball. Like I grew up around baseball. My dad tried so hard so many times to get me interested in football because, you know, Nebraska football, go Big Red, all that. No, it never happened. And I figure skated when I was younger, so that could pop up later. My sister was a competitive synchronized skater. That could pop up. Who knows what's going to happen in the future. But for me, my draw to swimming really actually happened in 2008, when we all know Michael Phelps became Michael Phelps. But I remember I love swimming. I never competed because ironically I'm allergic to chlorine. um, but I can swim. It's just if I swallow it, I get really, really sick. And like for competitive swimmers, they
It
basically just drink
happens.
pool water. um, but I remember watching Michael in a post interview, and I realized that he had a speech impediment. He had a lisp. And as somebody who grew up getting teased constantly about her speech impediment and, you know, spent 13 years in speech therapy, this is as good as it's going to get. Um, he was the first person I saw in mainstream media being taken seriously with a lisp and not being made fun of and then I kind of learned more. I read a couple of his books, and we basically have the same kind of speech impediment. And so I gravitated towards swimming. I went with my aunt who passed away right before I wrote Maybe One Day, and to the first live swimming meet that I'd ever gone to, which happened to be a finals of the Olympic trials in 2012. And I was like, this is amazing. I want to get involved in this. And that's how it kind of spearheaded, and I really, really write a lot of found family in my books. Like Anna said, it's just so comforting. And for me, that's how my best friend and I met. Like, we met online and started this blog together, and we call each other our platonic soulmate. Like, we are that close. So finding that found family within it and all that stuff. And swimming has boring moments. I will be the first to admit it. Like Courtney said, when those 800, 1,500 meter swims come up,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, my girl's on the block, my girl's off the block, open my butt. Can I
Yeah.
just sit down? I'm like, I got 20 minutes, we're good. But for me, it was really that sense of finding a place within a sport, and then that was taken away from me very publicly. Somebody who at the last Olympic trials in Omaha, so 2021, somebody who I thought was a friend very publicly just came out of nowhere and in front of a crowd of people said, nobody wants you, you're not desirable, nobody would ever, you're not really welcome here anymore. And I'm like, I was so devastated because, first of all, this woman was
Who do we need to
older than
fight?
me by a
Fuck that
couple
bitch.
decades. Honestly,
Drop
she listens to
names.
this. She'll know if she listens to this. But I was mortified.
You're not welcome here. How about that?
I was mortified. And so when I sat down and I was talking to Claire, I'm like, I want to reclaim this space. And she's like, hey, put a fat girl with an Olympian. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And that's what I did because I wanted to prove to other women like me, your body does not determine your worth, your desirability, anything like that. So all three female leads are different variations of plus size, and they're all in different stages of loving their body and learning to love it. And all three men are like, I am obsessed with you. Don't change a single thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Also, that is a devastating experience to have to deal with, I'm sure. But you found, thanks to your best friend, a way to reclaim it and turn it into a passion and something that you are enjoying in a different way. So
Yeah.
kudos to
I,
you. Screw
thank
that
you.
bitch.
I definitely I had to, after a decade, I'm like, I have to find a way to reclaim this space. I have to.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it. So
I still want a name though.
I'll slide it into the DM.
Put it in the DMs. I got a lot of time on my hands at the moment.
Listen. So speaking of writing female leads that they're not always the athlete, but when we do make female or non-binary people the lead in our sports romance, which is still too far and few between in my opinion, how can we go about highlighting that more and making these male dominated sports or male focused sports less prevalent? Which it's fine there, obviously we have two sides of the coin for reasons, which gives women the opportunity to have sports, but we don't highlight them enough in life. So how can we highlight them more in our fiction? Like what are the steps we need to take, do y'all think?
I guess I can start. Hold on. Can you hear me? So, in my series, my girls are involved in sports, either as athletes or sports personnel. And I think one of my favorite FMCs to write was my hockey romance FMC. She's a sports agent. And I wrote a lot of my experiences into her story because as a young woman in sports, I've faced a lot of what she's faced as a woman in a male dominated field. They've looked down on me. Like first thing they ask you, they'll be like, "What? Like what are you saying? Do you even know what you're saying?" Once you tell a man or a male presenting person that you like sports, they immediately have like it's pop quiz time. Do you know this person? Do you know where they were born? Do you know? And I'm like, it's not that serious. Like we can like other things. It, and they like to gatekeep. So I wanted to write women in sports to just show that we exist in these spaces. You know, I have it's 4 books. 2 of them are athletes. One plays football, that's soccer, and the other one is a track athlete. and their men are supportive of them in their sports. I think it's up to us to write it. We need to write more women in sports. They don't have to be the athletes. There are so many careers in sports. There's physiotherapy, there's biomechanics, there's, like Rae said, photography. We have to write it. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they like it or not. We have to write it. We
Yeah.
have to represent, because who else is going to? I don't think we would want somebody else writing a woman, because the misogyny is
Yeah.
going to be there. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of having to deal with male presenting people saying things that are just so bizarre. Anna, do you remember when we were having drinks that first night? It was me, you, Lillian Lee was sitting with us, and then
Mhm.
Zaye Taylor came over, and we were all sitting there and we were explaining football to Lillian. And that
Mhm.
man came over and was like, "Y'all don't know nothing." And we were like, "Excuse me, hold on a second."
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely is frustrating. Zaye writes hockey, but she knows football, so we were just so frustrated sitting there.
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean we? Because we're women, we can't know. So we
Yeah.
definitely have to just put our women in the sports field in more of our books for sure.
Mhm.
I had to share that because as soon as you said Timber, like the person was like, "No, you don't." What you mean? I got that a lot as a sports reporter and photographer, like going out to these different events that I was doing. They're like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Why am I here then?" So definitely can't wait to write my women in sports books because, yeah, yeah. Anyway, who's next?
I think it's just like fun that you like. I mean, I didn't know that happened, Ray. That's like honestly like so like appalling, and like also like I would have like told that guy off. I'm like, get
We did.
me like I'm serious. Like, I mean, I was like, I can tell you like every statistic, like what every statistic means in baseball. I play fantasy football. Like, the fact that the audacity of someone to a man, to, well, actually, men are audacious. So like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop there. But so women in sports, but yeah, something that because growing up I wasn't athletic. I'm not an athletic person. I'm not like I played badminton in growing up, which is very like an Asian like dominant like Asia dominant sport, and I love badminton, but you definitely have never seen a badminton romance in your life. But
Now we need one.
now
Just
we
saying.
we'll see. 2028. I have until the Olympics upcoming to do it.
There
But
you go.
I think it's just really cool that women, are like wanting to be in the sports industry in positions of leadership. Like the NHL has a woman like coach,
Yes.
and the MLB has a woman umpire, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
And the MLB also has had women coaches. And so I think like it's unfortunate that, it's these sports have been around for decades, and only 2 to 3 years ago is that like when we really like see women in coaching roles.
Yeah.
And but I think that's just like, once it happens, then people get more excited about it, which is really cool. And I think that hopefully now, as again, there's like these women who are kind of being those trailblazers that are in these positions that are male dominant. Hopefully that kind of like churns people's heads a bit, and that'll pave like authors the way to write books that feature women in these like prominent positions.
Definitely. I think that something I most people know I'm a journalist. I don't know if I've shared that with the room, but I'm a journalist in my day job. And before my current role, I have been looking into the discrepancy and the disparity of women coaches, doctors, and like staff for women's sports. So like your women's soccer teams or football teams, your women's in college and basketball teams, and all of the sports that women have in college, but being like all of their staff, their coaches, their doctors, everyone were male because women were being fired for being too aggressive. But when a man was doing the same behavior, he was commended for being strong. And like that bothered me so much. That like that's why I've been percolating with my idea for my women's focused sports romances. And I have a book that I'm working on now where he is a former athlete. He had to retire because of an injury, and his sports doctor is a woman, obviously. So I think that, as Timber and Brittany have pointed out, there's more than just the athlete um, in the realm of sports, and we have to find ways to include all aspects of those things and talk about the problems. Like, just because it's romance doesn't mean we can't discuss the other issues that are presented within the industry. So,
Yeah. One of my. Sorry. You can go.
One of my, yeah, I think, yeah, because women belong obviously in all the places. And I love seeing that in books, and that's something I have also coming through with mine, with the rugby series, is more women in the organisation in the game. And also Amy Andrews, again, whose rugby romance series started me off. She has one called Fair Game, where the female lead is an athlete and the partner or the love interest is like a he's like a masseuse, yoga instructor, best friend kind of thing. And it's great, but it definitely still hits those notes of like, okay, well, she's a pro athlete. How come she's still having to hold down a job? Like that inequity that still takes place. We're here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, we've just got our first Wahine Warriors rugby league team. So that's our first professional rugby league team as a country. Our men's team's been professional since 95. So great for my kids to see, really inspiring for them. And they're doing great, but there's still like our netball team, our national netball team, they still have jobs. They still have to arrange training around all of those other things. The sponsorship isn't always as much. And so I think there's a real issue there that highlighting in our work only increases. And I haven't done it quite yet because, there's plans in place. But also, for me, again, critically, I like, as, someone who was overweight and unathletic and not cool or popular in school, and spent a lot of my time actually truant, like smoking cigarettes on the back streets like a fucking emo loser. I like the idea of hot athletic dudes wanting me, like that sort of like hot athletic dudes wanting normal girls. And of course this is like speaking about MF romance. And I think a lot of readers do that. They like to see themselves and see how desirable they are just the way they are to people who, for whatever reason, might not have been on their radars.
yeah.
I like that. But I also, sometimes I get mad at myself too, because I've picked like rugby league as my first sport to write, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sort of sick of like these dudes and all their abs. I'm like, where are my dad bod guys at? That's where you guys are lucky with American football. You've got more body diversity with different teams. And like, whereas, rugby, there's like two body shapes. There's forwards and there's backs. And, they're all, I'm like, ugh, more abs, more thighs. Like, which is great. It's like, as a person, I like that. But as a writer, I'm like, could use some more fluff.
Yeah. I think though, like, and I understand completely with like people wanting to have the like non-athletic people or people who are athletic wanting to like see a desirable male athlete wanting a normal everyday woman, and that is a section at large, probably section of readers. But I think that we also have to acknowledge that there are so many athletes that are female presenting, um, and they just talking about female presenting and how that's underrepresented, just female and then trans athletes, and that's a whole nother issue. But um, just they also want to be loved on, if that's by a regular everyday dude, because they're working hard for what it's hard to be a female athlete. And then on top of that, they might have a male athlete love interest, or they might just want an everyday dude who knows nothing about it, and they can come home and complain, and he'd be like, okay babe, love you, so do you want food now? Like I think we have to like look at both sides of that. And I write American football, and my athletes definitely like are the hoo-ha, oh yeah, he-man kind of thing when they're on the field, but when they come off the field, it's like, I love you, come here, let me hug you, I had a bad day, like and the
Oh,
women that
there's
they're with,
nobody that needs comforting like an athletic male after a
right,
game. My lord.
at the end of the
Oh,
day, their women are strong, and in their field, they're strong and they're doing their thing. They're with their business owners, they're pilots, they're whatever the jobs that they have that they're doing, doctors and bartenders and all kind of things. But it's just I think that it's nice to have the everyday woman, but we can't discount the everyday man that should support the athletic woman too.
Yeah. One of my best friends is actually a strength coach at one of the colleges here. And I've seen her over the years. She's actually gone from like 3 different colleges because the men she works with are horrible.
Trash,
Like the coaches and everything.
especially in colleges.
Yes. And so it just made her leave. And there's also like an aspect of gaining respect because like my fiance was a D3 football player, and like even he says, he's like, it's hard enough to gain the respect of a lot of these players, but now you have a woman coming in, and trying to gain the respect. So I'm really excited. I didn't in my current series because I just kind of got roped into this friend group that was kind of already established. But I really do want to write, female athletes and women in sports for the next ones. I think if I do write the archery one, it's going to be a woman.
Do it.
So, but like, it was interesting because we were actually talking about her dating life at one point, and she was like, oh, you should write, a female strength coach. And then she was joking for a second about writing, forbidden romance. And then she was like, actually, don't do that. Because and this is where you like talk to people and learn, because she was like, I don't know, like I go through a lot working here, and I think that like writing that would kind of diminish my role. Like if I were to be involved with an athlete, that looks really bad. And it could do like harm to the position or what people think of it. And so it's interesting talking to different people who are like in these positions, and what they think and what they go through. And it's always something worth thinking about. So she helps me out a lot with my books, actually. I'll literally I'll think of a scene and I'll be like, does this position usually do this like workout? And she's like, yep, you're good. And so I think it's harder because you do have to do the work and the research to make sure that you're also not contributing to like bad stereotypes for women in these fields and whatnot. And I think a lot of us would. But I'm really excited to write more women athletes and women in sports because they're badass. Like I see what she goes through. And she comes out on top. She gets new jobs that pay more, and she's like, screw you guys, I'm leaving and doing better. And it's a lot to demand respect from an entire team of men.
Yeah.
You know, so even if it's a woman who works in these sports and then like has relationships with somebody else outside of it, like that's badass. Like those are the women that I want write about and everything, because that it takes a lot of guts. It really does.
And I think that to what Courtney was saying about like wanting
Mhm.
to see the male athletes and then
Yeah.
them wanting and desiring just regular everyday women. I think that the flip side of that is like us reading about these women in these positions and and being loved on and respected by everyday men also helps to uplift the stress and the struggles that they go through at work, because unfortunately who knows how long that's going to take to really improve. But being able to read, even I'm not athletic, I like watching it. I can't shoot a basketball. I can barely throw a football. I can't hit a dang tennis ball or the little badminton thingy, the little, peacock, what is it called? I tried all that stuff in high school and I was trash. But it was fun. But reading about women and watching women play sports is just so inspiring. It's just like, okay, girl, you out here doing your thing. And that I think is what we kind of have to just show, that there's so many other things than the everyday quote unquote life. Like there's other job opportunities, there's other things, and every industry has its struggles. But it's okay to show like these women navigating it in these works of fiction that we create.
All I want right now, after that discussion, is like female team owners or something like that dating normal dudes, but all the team, like all the dudes on the team, are like her little wingmen and like protective, and they're like, "Was he good enough? Does he bring? That's nah, he's trash." Like that's all I want now.
Courtney, you need
That's
to
on
write
you,
that.
Anna. That's
You need to write that.
archery. Oh, all I want.
Somebody
now.
needs to write that.
Now we all have to write one.
Yeah,
I
totally.
agree.
All do it together.
Yeah.
Make an anthology out of it.
I'd do it.
I mean, maybe.
I'm gonna say something controversial. I don't know why it's controversial, but the women swimmers have single-handedly been saving USA swimming for the last, I would say about 7
It's not
years.
controversial. It's fact.
It's not. It should. And
So
like
are
the male
the
athletes.
soccer players.
Yes.
Yeah. New
And the
Zealand
male
women's
athletes-
rugby team has won world championships more than our men. That is a statistical fact, and they get up until the last 3 years like very little coverage.
Look at the
us. We're
gymnastics.
so angry now, guys.
Look
Like,
at the
Look at
gymnastics.
women's gymnastics. Look at USA football, like soccer.
You know, even within the swimming world, Katie Ledecky, Simone Manuel,
Yes.
I'm like now blanking on all these fabulous, fabulous women, but they've always been there and they've always been killing it, but they've been overshadowed by the misogynistic tendencies
Ryan
within. Yeah, if you ever want to talk Ryan Lochte, we can talk Ryan Lochte. I have a pin, yes. And if you ever want Claire involved, she'll happily talk Ryan Lochte. But
that man.
they've been overshadowed, and it's such bullshit. And like, yes, I don't have a female, until the third book, I don't have a female athlete, and that is a young teenage girl, and she is just getting into the sport, and she's immediately killing it. And Ronan, as her coach, recognizes that, and he really wants to lift her up. And, so even without those females in the actual sport, Josie and Mia run the blog originally, and then Mia does marketing and helps them run the club. Josie does the same. Even in book number 2, Kat has no idea about swimming, but she's a construction contractor. Like, I want these women in male-dominated fields, and more importantly, every single male lead I have is a hardcore feminist, and they're not afraid of it. And, there's a point when Ronan tells Emmy, the young girl he's coaching, like, she's like, well, I couldn't go to Coach Ronan if I needed a tampon out of me. And he looks at her and he's like, they're in the front pocket of my backpack. Just go get one. And she's like, what? And he's like, if I'm a coach, I'm showing up for each of my athletes, not just the boys.
Yeah.
And so I
Love.
think that's so important, and having and showing coaches that can be that support system for their young female athletes, and showing them that they, from the beginning, like Ronan will admit, like, hey, the men's team is great, but have we seen the women? you know and that is so important, and society's refusal to not recognize that is ridiculous. I mean, for the last few years, even Michael has been saying, hey, pay attention to the women. Guys, step it up. Like, what the hell are you doing? And USA Swimming as an organization right now is trash, and it's showing in the competition. So I don't, why are we not celebrating the women who are killing it in every sport?
Yeah.
And why is that, as a society, why is that still so hard for us to wrap our minds around?
Yeah, we see it often. We see it in tennis, especially, but we see it in football, soccer. We see the women not getting their flowers when they are killing it. Like gymnastics has this weird stigma around it. Just even the winter sports, the figure skating, and like it's looked at as dainty. And I guess on the other side of that, the males that are involved in figure skating get um, weird commentary for them. But like even the female athletes is just like they have to be so soft and gentle. And it's like, why can't they just want to be a little rough? Why do they have to be these pretty little dainty things? Like women are multi-layered individuals. Can we just let them be and then also celebrate what they are doing as athletes or as support systems within the athletic world without it being some weird issue of female hormones?
Rage is not a hormone. It's validated. Well, I mean, hormones are validated too, but like,
But it's always that. It's
it's
like
rage.
she's just
But they
it's
were
it's
emotional.
the
Rage
extra
is an emotion.
it's always something, and it's so frustrating. We will go off on a tangent if I let
Oh, we will.
I
Oh,
think everyone has kind of
yeah. Oh,
oh,
I
sorry.
wanted to add one more thing to what
Uh-huh.
Anna said. I think what everybody said. I think that's one thing that I explore in my books. There in book two, we see that the agent is dating the hockey player, and just the backlash. So the woman gets all the backlash. The man
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
So he goes and defends her honor in the media because everybody's coming on her. It's like a relationship is a one person thing, but he's like, no, we both did it, and I don't care. I don't regret anything about it. So that's one thing that I wanted to explore in my series. That women get it, the men will get away with the affairs. You know how many professional athletes are all over the place doing
that's
what they're not supposed to do.
exactly.
But if it's a female athlete, she gets all the pressure. They would say, we'll see pieces about her everywhere. But the men, they're like, oh, it's just boys, it's just men. It's regular.
And
Like,
I think that's
I
one of the things that we as an industry can recognize, because the fact of the
mm-hmm,
matter is that it is always that way. We're always harder on females than
mm-hmm,
females or non-binary people than we are on males. It's insane. And because romance as a genre is invested in the fantasy in the way that things should be when you're in a partnership with someone, that's where we really get a chance to shine a light on that, and the way that people deserve respect and care and all of those things. And it is at this stage, it's part of the fantasy of the sports romance genre. But we have to hope that, like other elements of the genre, we've seen them come to life over time. That the more we do it, the more our readers will recognise, their worth, and what they should and shouldn't accept from the people in their lives on every level, professionally, personally, everything like that. And hopefully, we'll see the change.
Something I would like to see more and healthily explored and by people who share the identity is non-binary and trans athletes, especially trans women. It's given the ridiculous climate in the US and how it is punching down on trans athletes, especially trans women. Um, I would like to see more of that represented and explored in books in a way that isn't harmful. And I would like to particularly see it from non binary and trans authors, it, exploring like sports and other issues. I know that there are books out there, but given like recent developments, I hope that in the future we get to see more of that because I am sick of this damn country.
Me too, and I don't even go there.
Sick. But I think what I was going to ask, I think everyone kind of mentioned at least one thing that they hadn't dived into yet and were maybe going to consider. Brittany, I would like badminton. Thank you. Anna, I want that archery. And Ashlyn, when are we going to get all the figure skating and sing? Yes, I want it. But anyway,
I'm doing baseball next. I'm so sorry.
I'm holding y'all to it. But beyond what y'all have mentioned, is there other sports that you've been considering diving into, or just other themes that you haven't explored yet that you've been considered diving into, but haven't thought about really yet?
I don't know if Brittany remembers this. The first time we met about a year ago, at a con that shall not be named, I went as a reader and I signed up for the author of dinner, and she and I sat next to each other. She was our author at the table, one of them with Avery Flynn. And she and I immediately started talking because we're both like sports romance, like we both write it. And we were talking about how aquatic sports as a whole is underrated. And she's like, I would like to see like more diving romances. And immediately in my head, I was like, oh my God, swimmers and divers are like enemies. They're not, they pretend they hate each other. They really don't. I know of 2 swimmers who are married to divers. Calm down. But I was like, oh my God, now I want to write an enemies to lovers diver romance, but I kind of want to make it gay. So that
you should.
I'd read the shit out of that.
Absolutely should.
That would probably, I'm like, and then I was talking to another friend, and we were both like, oh my God, like Tom Daly. I need a Tom Daly coded diver. And
if you write it now, it'll be out in time for the next Olympics.
It will be. Don't tempt me.
But I am diving romance.
Brittany, we need to stop talking. I love you dearly.
I'm not gonna stop talking to you. I hope you know that.
Okay, but I have a really serious question about the diver swimmer rivalry. Where do water polo players fit into this?
That is more we talked about that, and Brittany said she's team water polo. I'm like, fucking.
Which is like why? Okay, so like going off of what Ashlyn and I were talking about, so the Midwest football culture is the California water polo culture.
It really
like
is.
California universities, like we're not great at football. I'll just say it. I don't care. I'm not
UCLA,
sorry to anyone who is a USC person. I don't like USC, and I just hate I can go on for a long time. But the fact of the matter is that California is not known for football. That's just we're not the SEC. We're not like we don't go and spend our Saturdays watching football at a college like you would in Nebraska or like down in the South. But water polo is huge in California. I have friends who from the age of 5 got in the water, and they trained themselves up to be water polo players. These water polo players, go on to play in the Olympics. And teams in California, the school that I went to, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, UCLA, like they're all fighting against each other to be the best water polo team in the country. And it's five teams in California that are like competing to be number one in the country. Like that's kind of like, how it is, because California, you can be in the water year round. You don't have
I
to
went to
worry about
Pepperdine to watch play
yeah
water
yeah
polo. They are so competitive.
I
Yeah, and
heard that women's water polo is the most violent sport. I listened to an interview where someone got like their vag bit underwater.
Almost
I'm
lost
sure
my
it could
tea,
happen.
Courtney.
I mean,
sure
you're
it could
floating
happen.
in the water a lot. Like I don't play water polo, but like if you're swimming towards someone, like a man will kick someone else's man in the balls. Like it could just
I
happen
don't know
because
why
you're
your
in
face
close.
is down there, but
Yeah, like
I can
I
understand.
don't understand this sport, Ray. I don't know. People lose a
but
nipple. There's multiple like multiple sets of swimwear on when they play because it's so violent. Yeah.
yeah,
It
but they're
is a
very
little,
athletic because
yeah,
you're the whole 90 minutes you play, you're floating. You can't
yeah.
you have to keep
Mhm.
yourself afloat in order to be a good water polo player. So your upper body looks fantastic.
Brittany, we should co-write a swimmer water polo romance.
We should. We definitely should.
Also,
Okay.
Courtney, if you want to see another violent water aquatic sport,
And I do.
open water swimming, they get the shit beat out of them. I have a friend who does water or open water, and she's like covered in bruises, her eye is swollen shut. I'm like, what happened
Are you
out
okay?
there? What is going on? And she's like, you don't want to know. And I'm like, what does that mean?
I really enjoy triathlons when it's an open water
Mhm.
swim, because it's like those people finish that race, they look like they are dead inside. Like it's taking everything. I'm like, that looks
absolutely.
hard. While I'm sitting on the couch eating a bag of chips.
Oh, right.
There's
My
nothing
favorite
I
thing
love
is
more than watching other people exercise while I eat snacks.
Yep,
Listen.
absolutely. And it can't be healthy snacks. Like, I'm not eating broccoli
Oh,
and,
no.
like, ranch. I'm not eating carrots. I need to eat carbs, starches, like, whatever.
I'm like, I'm doing it for you. I'm having the snacks you can't, athletes.
Yeah. At the last Olympics, me and Claire and another friend of ours who was involved in swimming, we had a group chat, and every night we sat down to watch swimming. It's like, okay, what's your alcoholic beverage of choice tonight, and what is your snack? And I'm like, wow, just think of all the calories they're burning and all the calories we're consuming.
That's how it was when I was watching the Olympic diving, and I just see these like petite little Chinese women like completely dominate the industry, like the diving like sport, and I'm like, me like a not like a petite Chinese woman, but like also stuffing my face with like spicy chips. So I was like, do you like? I'm all for
great.
Look, it is what it is. So you're gonna potentially do some water polo, Brittany, and the
Potentially.
And the bagman. Okay.
Yeah. My friend actually, she just got promoted to head coach for the women's water polo team at UC Santa Barbara. So
Oh, congrats.
Oh.
yeah.
UC Santa Barbara is just an amazing school. I kind of wish I went there, and I didn't, and I had the opportunity to. So that's a past life. Ashlyn, we're gonna get some diving, and we're also gonna get some figure skating. Okay.
Hopefully, yep. Let me write the baseball one, because if I don't write that one next, Claire might come over from South Carolina and murder me, and then I'll just be R.I.P. me.
We're gonna have to talk to Claire and be like, hold on, just.
Then she'll tell you the premise of the baseball story, and you're gonna be like, well, shit. You're gonna be like, I want everything.
Well, we're connecting offline because now I need to know.
DMs are always open.
Always. We're getting archery, but what else are we getting?
Yeah, I think I have baseball in my future. So I'm also a big baseball fan. So I would like to write that as a sport that I know, but eventually I do want to branch out to sports that I would like to know better. So I would like to write a soccer romance at some point, I think. But yeah, I want to challenge myself at some point to be like, okay, like let's learn a sport from scratch, but like really know it. So I really like adding heavy sports into my books. So I want to be able to be like, okay, I know this sport now. Like I'm a fan of this sport now. So yeah, I'm open to honestly anything. But when it comes to things that I've plotted and I'm like, okay, I know these sports. Baseball is coming down the line. And I do want to write the archery romance. So I do, I have ideas, but they'll be plotted very soon.
Oh, okay. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. And Courtney, what are we expecting as something you haven't dove into, but maybe considering?
Well, now so much more. Like I said, I'm not an athletic person,
Right.
so
Our
I
resident non.
struggle with the idea of writing like, you know, really athletic females because I just can't relate. um, but now I kind of want like my head bitch in charge with like all of the dudes rooting for her. But I'm like right now I've got the hot rugby night series that's going well, and actually a few more of the books have women in sports. So Sports Reporter is up next. And I'm really excited about that because she's the daughter of a Star League player from the 80s or 70s. I don't know, I got to work out time. And then she was married to a coach who was abusive. And then this guy hits her. She's like, I get not a fucking chance. Go away. Love the game, hate the player, you know, kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there are definitely like sub tropes that I'm diving into within the framework of the genre. So I've got a marriage in trouble planned, you know, some secret baby shit, older woman, younger man, marriage of
Yeah,
convenience with a physio. So sports related again there. So as long as
that's
it all
what I'm working on
comes,
right
as long as
now.
it all, I got to keep writing them. That's the ticket for me. But I'm so excited about all of these. And actually, two indie authors I love. So Mari V and also Emma Mugglestone, who's a Australian romance writer. She's great. Her book just came out this week, and Mari's has been out for a while now. They do long distance running as their sport, and I'm like, I could vibe with that because all you need is like a pair of shoes and functional legs.
There's
So I'm
so
like,
much within sports that we could do.
yeah, I'm like, if I was going to write another sport outside of probably rugby league, it'd probably be long distance running because I'm like, yeah, I get that one. You know, it does take a while, but I understand the premise of it, which is more than I can say for a lot of popular sports in the genre right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold you to the long distance running. I want that.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying it.
I
I'm
know
gonna.
you're holding out for that older woman, younger man physio
Yeah,
rugby one
I'm
now, though.
like,
So
that's what I'm
I've
working
got to
on.
get to
So I
that for you.
definitely I need to see it because that's what I'm kind of working on right now. My doctor in the retired football player, it's an older woman, his doctor, and he is like, I did not like you when we met, but now I want nothing but you. So bring that ass over here, girl. And
Okay, so
she's
mine,
like,
I'm just going to spill all the secrets. So the one that I'm drafting next is an older player who gets injured in the book that's released off his game. He gets injured at the end as a teammate of the MMC. So she's going to be his physio. And then like one of the young players who's like, he's Moldy, he's youngest son of like three sisters. He's he's not great with money or life because he's just learning kind of thing. But he's gonna see her and be like besotted. And then he's gonna accidentally announce that he's engaged during a public media crisis and then have to talk her into it.
Yes. Okay. So that then the long distance runner. Thank you. Okay. I'll be in your
You're
DMs
welcome.
after this.
I have to go write this now. Oh my god.
Now you have to write it. You have
No, I
announced
have
it.
to
We
write it. I
all are
just told the internet.
we were all invested. Timber, you have explored different sports. So what next? What else are you looking at?
Well, I want to write a sapphic netball romance. So that's probably going to be it
Yes.
in the next series.
Is that going to be available at Black Romance Book Fest
No.
next year? Because I will be at your table.
What
So
are
I need
pre-orders? Could you
to know
have it
how
ready
to
for pre-orders, maybe?
like so you can bring it and I can grab it from you next year.
Oh
Like
my
you just have
goodness.
to bring
Yeah.
it.
Netball and field
That's
hockey. They're just screaming for sapphic
Yep.
romances.
So it's going to be the sister of the book that I'm currently writing. So the MMC sister. So she's based in New Zealand, and she is a strength and conditioning coach, and she will date a netball player. Because I like netball. I haven't seen a netball romance, so I want to write a netball romance.
No, I haven't seen one either. But if you need New Zealand feedback, hit me up.
Yes, I'll
That
reach
sounds
out.
amazing.
Now you got a connection.
Yes, I also want to do volleyball. I loved volleyball in
Yeah.
school, so I want to write one of those.
That's the one sport I actually was good at.
Yeah, me too. That's why I want to write it. I'm like, might as well,
I
That
never
was
had
the
And
my
one.
period for 3 weeks in a row during the volleyball unit in PE. It's my
That was the
least favorite sport.
one sport that I did
I'm
do,
so
and I
bad
was
at it.
not good. I was not good.
My
so much
teacher's like, you've
fun.
had your period for 3 weeks now, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds
Yep.
good, girl.
Yep. Like I sure did. Darn. Oh no.
oh my
I was
goodness,
in a
no.
class with like the A volleyball team. They were bitches. So like I didn't want to play with them.
I
Yeah,
don't blame you.
understandable.
But other than the sports that I've written, these are two that I want to explore. And I will be writing more athletics romance and more cricket romance. Because
Yes.
it's what I love.
Love
In terms
it.
of tropes, I want to write a single dad romance. I think, well, She's an Anchor was a single mother.
Yeah.
So she was the athlete and she had a secret baby. So I want to explore a single dad romance.
I
So
want like a
that
single
book,
dad with a professional female javelin athlete,
well,
because how badass
okay,
would that
so
be?
I
Like
guess
she can
it
spear
will
you
be
from 100 feet if you mess up. I love the element of danger it brings.
I think you're probably spying on my business. Because so the next series, although I'm writing, I might write a college romance series before part 2 of this ongoing series, so the series with the adults. So as you know, Catherine is the sports agent. So she's been promoted to CEO, so it's just going to be athletes that she's managing. So the first book is going to be a single dad with an athletics person. So I'm still debating if I want her to be a track
Now you
athlete
have to
or a
do it.
field or in the field. But
Now
that's
you have
definitely book 1, and book 2 will be the sapphic romance. So that's
I
what
am
I want to write.
excited.
I'm
I
loving
think what
it.
else? With the secret baby, I kind of already explored accidental pregnancy, so I might go back into that. That was fun to write. Though you see a lot of people don't like secret baby, but I like it. I like drama. So
Me too. I started my first series, my debut book. It's like surprise pregnancy. They do use a condom. It doesn't work because we're all about safe sex. But
yeah.
nah. I'm gonna cull the weak now. Like if you don't like this trope, you're not gonna come for the rest of it. Like start how you mean to continue.
I agree.
It is not for me, but I can see the pull.
I'm
And
like,
I like
I got royalty. I got a slightly unlikable FMC. It's interracial. It's secret baby, and it's not set in America. I'm like,
Oh, you just put
fuck it, we
everything
ball.
in and
Yeah.
mix.
pull it out of here. Like go
Yeah.
anywhere else. I mean, look, I know this country, so I ain't wrote a story based in another country fully, but like, please give them to me because I'm
Yeah,
so tired of the States.
for me, all of my books are based elsewhere. I love to
Yeah,
travel, so I include my travels in my books. So you see, they go to Paris, they go to, in the athletics romance, it takes place in the Olympics. So the Olympics is in Rome. I loved Rome, so I had to write that. They're in Paris also because the MMC is French, although they met in Monaco during a bachelorette party. That's where the one night stand and secret baby came to play. So I like to include travel in my romances.
I
So
love
I
it.
All
guess
of
that would be
mine,
something else I'll include.
yeah, all of mine are Aotearoa, New Zealand, or the South Pacific,
Uh-huh.
because I'm like, why would you not escape to these places when you have the opportunity? So good. And I like, and
Why not
also,
travel?
yeah, I love traveling. Um, yeah, but I love this area of the world slightly more on a full-time basis. And it's also like, New Zealand and Australia have a very different relationship with swearing than the United States does. And I just don't know that I can limit myself for American audiences quite as much as I might need to. I like
I
being able to
think
use,
the
like, I like being able to write characters who speak like I speak. And there's a lot of swearing in that
True.
because,
I think we already have to deal with the spelling difference because in the
oh,
Caribbean
God,
we also use the British style, so with the U and the S,
colonization.
they're already fighting us down for these.
Look, the one decent thing that the British did when they came and colonized our countries and enforced all of their horrible laws and religions on us was that they gave us the letter U where it should be.
An S. Yep.
And S. You and your
No, that's
Z's. You're just being
so out
difficult,
of place.
America, with your Z's.
Yeah, we are, but also the U's do seem out of place sometimes. Like, why is that U there?
No,
Like, it's
without the U, I'm
English.
like, this is
You're like, we
wrong.
speak English, and
Where
I'm
is
like,
the
you
U?
clearly don't because there's no U.
We speak American English. Y'all
Yeah.
speak them people English.
That's America. They're like, we invented this. It's slightly stupider than everyone else's thing.
Yeah.
No
It's
offense,
that.
guys. I'm going to lose a lot of readers over this podcast.
I just started traveling this year. I just got my passport this year. We went to Italy for a wedding, and I was like, do I have to go home? Like, do I have to go back to America?
No, the food is so much better over there. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what y'all are eating over there, but across the pond, or even in the Caribbean, our food is superior.
Look,
Like,
I had
No.
pizza in Greenland, and I was like, what? Why does taste so different?
Yeah.
It was the best pizza I've had, and that's so random to say for Greenland, but it was so good.
Yeah, I thought people were lying about that, about it being like so much better. And then I went over there and I was like, oh my god.
Mine is Spain. Barcelona. Oh my god, they give you like free shots after dinner so that you can just sit and have a wee mini drink while you hang out with your friends on the street after eating this amazing meal. I'm like, this is it for me. Spain and Greece. If I'm over that side of the world, Spain and Greece. If I'm over this side of the world, Rarotonga. No one knows about Rarotonga. You can only get there from Auckland, LA, and I think maybe one place in Australia does flights, and it's amazing. If you ever feel like coming over this way,
now
So
that I have
expensive.
my
Cook
passport, I'm like where
now
else
that
am
you have
I
a
going to
passport,
go?
Anna, there's nothing. Come to New Zealand.
I know, I need to.
no, you need to visit us first before you go over there. You need to
That is
come down.
close.
I'll go anywhere. I will go anywhere but here. Get me out of here.
Okay, so if you had to pick one book out of your we can talk about food and travel, and then we don't just be sitting here for forever. Um, if you had to pick one book out of your catalog to recommend people start with, and maybe one from another author, but let's focus on us first. Where would you have people start? Which one would you choose? Ashlyn.
Okay, another controversial take. I love my debut. My series is 3 interconnected standalones, and I love my debut. Great, like I'm happy with it. But I want more people to read Tell Me Tomorrow, which is the second book, because Carter is my bisexual cinnamon roll, and I love him. I don't know if I will ever write a character that I love more than him. He's just such a good guy, and he's like that magical unicorn that actually stays friends with his ex. Like his ex is invited both him and his best friend Bryce and Josie from the first book to his wedding, and Carter can't come because he's training for the Olympics. But like he is a magical unicorn, and I love him so much. And he throws Katrina over his shoulder, carries her to the bedroom. Like, I just love him so much. So, like, yeah, start with maybe one day, but like also start with Tell Me Tomorrow. I don't. Each book has. I mean, Yesterday
It's a
I
different
Cared
book.
has a puppy. Like, whatever you want to start with, just go for it.
Anna.
So I feel like it's really easy to accuse me of having a favorite of my books, and it is true, but it's mainly because I'm like, I know it sells for this one, so let's just do it. But I do like How to Prevent a Fumble is my baby. So I love the emotional angst. That's good. I have yours right here too. I have like a whole. I like rearranged some things, and they're like not in view, and I'm kind of upset about it. But like the emotional angst in it. He's like ex-playboy. It's fake dating, and she's a single mom and is going through stuff, and he's just like literally a puppy dog. And those are the best athlete MMCs, I think, in my opinion, are the ones who are like this tough, football player, and then in reality they're literally a puppy, and they're like, I will kneel on the ground you walk on, and I will crawl to you, and I will do literally anything.
Oh my god, Anna. You can't say things like that at this time of the morning for me.
Because like there is like
I think I'm having a hot flush.
There's a scene in it where he's a quarterback, and he pisses her off, and he literally, like, he's injured, he gets on the ground and crawls to her, and then like eats her out, and then like comes in his pants, okay, after doing it, and I'm like, I want more of these big men, okay, who are literally dead for them.
It was from the like normal tone to whisper.
Well, my fiance's outside, and I don't want he's gonna be like, what? What are you guys talking about? But yeah, I just love a big man who's a complete mushy ball for the women, and all of mine are like that, but he specifically, I think that there's another level, because like he's supposed to be this like playboy who has a bad reputation, and I'm just like, yes. But that's my favorite of my I'm trying to like get a new favorite though. But I think, yeah, I would definitely recommend How to Prevent a Fumble. My first book is a little fluffier than I usually write, which is the only reason I don't recommend that one usually, because it's okay, it's good, but like I usually write with a little more angst. So
just a different vibe.
yes.
Brittany.
Okay, so this is my first sport romance, but this is Match Game. I also have the special edition here as well.
So cute.
This is my book, my hockey book that I wanted to write, because I was reading so many hockey books, but they don't have Asian hockey players as the male main characters. So I wrote one. I'm very proud of it. As I grow as a writer and I write better, I definitely think that this, there's a lot of learning and growing that I took with this book. The writing is not like, I don't think it's perfect, but I stand by what I wrote for this book. So a little context on Match Game. It is a fake dating slash online meet cute. So the male main character is a hockey player. The female main character is the director of esports for a college that's in close proximity to this. I wrote this in my dedication and in my acknowledgments, but my brother was a big esports player in college, so that's what kind of drove me to write this book. And a lot of it's based on San Jose and the San Jose Sharks, and just the Silicon Valley tech culture, but more of like the video game lovers. I myself grew up around video games a lot. My husband's a casual gamer, so that's why I wanted to kind of combine the two, because I saw a lot of that, like esports, coming up in other sports. So that's kind of what drove me to write this book. And I think that it's cool that it's unconventional. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
want to write a collegiate hockey romance that was like a lot of what I was reading.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of do something different, and that's why I decided to take esports, which you know I don't see a lot in romances. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really fascinating at how popular it's become in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, why I wrote this book, and I love it. I am someone who doesn't like to do interconnected standalones in consecutive order, so
Mm-hmm.
I have like 3 books planned in this series, but I haven't written the second one. I know what it's going to be about, but um, the thing with the series is that all characters do have some kind of like nerdy aspect to them. So this one is video games. The next one is kind of like TCG or trading card games, like Magic the
Oh,
Gathering. And so I it'll come to me eventually, but I like writing so many different sports
yeah.
that I just like I can't just sit down and write like 3 books about hockey to like move on and then wait like a year or two to move on to the next sport, because there's
Yeah.
always different sports that I want to write about. So yeah.
I love the nerdy representation because who doesn't love a good nerd? Like, I have a anime group that I'm a part of, and they have been trying to teach me magic, and I'm like, this is too far nerdy for me, but it's interesting.
My husband has tried to teach me for the last 10 years that we've been together, but there's just too much. And like, while we have a lot of books in our house because of me, we also have a lot of magic cards, and so like the clutterness of our house in general is like it's very it clashes like very easily, but I think it's fascinating. I think
Yeah,
like
the cards are really
um
cool. I just don't understand.
the cards are cool, the art is cool.
Yeah,
um you know it's like the community is huge. Like, I think their annual convention like sees like 12,000 people a
it's
year, which is
wild.
wild.
It's wild. But yes. Okay, and Timber.
Well, for me, the book that I would recommend is She's an Uncle. It's not
Yes.
that I don't
Which is
like the
background.
others, but I think this one I have
Right.
a special connection with. So I would recommend this one. They're both a playboy and a playgirl. So when they met each other, they were not looking to settle down. So he was an exotic dancer at a club, and she was in town for her sister's bachelorette party, and she just wanted to have fun. As you know, she's a professional athlete, so she trains a lot. For athletics, training doesn't really stop. They just train everything, like your entire life just revolves around training and
Mhm.
eating, and she decided, okay, this is my first break. Like, it's short, but let me have some fun. And one thing led to another. A few weeks later, she found out she's pregnant. So, and she doesn't know his name, only where he works.
Yeah.
So a big part of that series is found family and the importance of the family dynamic, because again, her career is busy. So now she's a single mother. She has to think about, okay, I need to go back to competing. So, and her family steps in, everybody helps her raise her child. And lo and behold, it's time for the Olympics, and she runs into him. But this time, he's not an exotic dancer anymore. He's her rival's coach. So his his father is the coach of the French athletics team. But his father fell ill, so he's stepping in. So he's qualified. But he just became an exotic dancer to, he was rebellious. He didn't have the best relationship with his parents. And the reason why this one is my favorite book is we see what he goes through. So growing up, he never wanted a daughter. He never wanted a child because his mother walked out when he was young. He didn't have the best relationship with his father. So to him, he was afraid of repeating the pattern. So why repeat it? I can just not do it.
Avoid it.
Yeah. And then just the journey and seeing him come to terms with you have a whole daughter now. She's old, so she's a full grown. You can't get rid of her. She's there. And the FMC doesn't tell him right away because it's the Olympics. She has things to do with that does not involve upending her entire life and saying, hey, you have a child. So that's why that is my favorite book, because her sisters actually welcome him into the family. So that's the big fun family aspect we talk about in sports romance. He finally feels like he belongs somewhere. So that's the one I would recommend.
And I like that cover. It's on my shelf. It's one of the very, like I said, I don't like secret babies or like surprise pregnancies or whatever, but there are a few that I'll read, and that's on that short list.
Thank you.
Just saying. So if we keep talking, this podcast will go forever. So thank y'all for coming and just we getting into all the fun and sad and wild and interesting things about sports with me. But before we round this out, let's go down and see like what events you have coming up, upcoming books that are being released soon, where people can follow you on social media, your websites and such. Let's start with Brittany.
Okay. If you want to hang out with me, learn more about me, I got a couple more conventions coming up in the rest of the year. I have Villains and Vixens, which is in Texas in early September. And then I have Book Harvest, which is in October in Chicago. And I also have, if you are interested in sports only, you can go to Sports Romance Con in 2026 in Minneapolis. And I know that a lot of us are going to be there, so it's going to be super fun. But you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Brittany Arreguin Writes. So that's just my name with Writes at the end. And up next, coming hopefully October, is my golf romance, The Albatross. It is a golfer romance. Mentor-mentee, takes place in California and has rich people behaving badly. So excited to show that off.
Courtney.
So you can find me. My website is courtneyclarkmichaels.com, and Courtney Clark Michaels is my handle on socials. I hang out mostly on Instagram and on Threads. And I don't have a project I can announce, but I have a hint, so it will be announced within the next couple of weeks. But I have an amazing collab project that's dropping, and it's a messy millennial friendship with
Who doesn't love mess?
like a lot of with love interests as well. It's fun. I don't think there's been anything really similar to it. It's based on sort of Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of swearing in it. My mum's going to be so mad. But I'm really, really excited about that. And then I'll be on to the next Hot Rugby Nights one, which is my sports journalist and golden retriever himbo injured player. And I'm at a romantic rendezvous in Christchurch, South Island, New Zealand, in March. And then in May, I'm in Age of Pages in Hamilton, New Zealand. So
Nice.
just keeping things on my side of the world for right now. But if you guys want to come on over, I would be happy to see you.
It sounds fun.
It does sound fun.
Oh, you said March and May though, didn't you?
I did.
Oh, damn.
But there's actually a romantic adventure in 2028 in Auckland. There's an expressions of interest form out at the moment. So, and that's in Auckland, which is one of the easier places in New Zealand to get to. It's not the prettiest, but it's one of the easiest places to
I'm
get
gonna slide in your DMs for that too. Yeah, no,
March
and May. So March is Sports Romance Con, right, y'all? And then May is Black Romance Book Fest, right, Timber? So I can't go anywhere.
But you can put me in the diary for 2028.
Yes, I will pencil you right on in. Anna.
So I have all of my links on my website, so annanoelbooks.com. So you can find me everywhere from there. And I am going to be at Romance in CNY next year. And then actually a week before my wedding, that was a choice. And then I will be at Sports Romance Con, which I'm really, really excited about. And yeah, I have, it's been rescheduled twice now because of life events. This year is trying to kill me. But I do have the fourth book in my Baltimore Cobra series coming out soon. It's actually inspired by my mom at Sports Romance Con. My mom got me into Married at First Sight Australia, which
you were
is
talking about that.
a dumpster fire. Okay, it's a dumpster fire, but I love reality TV, unfortunately. And it's kind of inspired by reality TV.
Nobody does Married at First Sight like Australia. We watch it here in New Zealand in a very judgmental manner. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I was like, we were literally like sharing a bed, and I had just had my iPad propped up, and we were just watching Married at First Sight, and I was like, this is amazing. So I did get inspired by that show to write this book. So it's coming out very soon. But if you sign up for my newsletter or follow me on social media, you'll see the announcement with the new release date. So I'm excited for it.
Pay attention. Ashlyn.
Okay, so I'm doing a couple of small local events in the rest of this year. I have a huge family trip at the end of the year. We're taking my 82-year-old grandma to Disney World for the first time. So I had to keep my schedule kind of light. But I will be at Sports Romance Con in March. In February, before that, I will be in Flirty and KC. And then I have some things. Indie author event, I think that I have one in August and one in September, and I can't remember which one. One of them has been announced, one of them hasn't, so I don't want to give you the wrong dates. But as of right now, I am hoping to release an untitled male baseball and country music star book in hopefully March. I want to have copies available at Sports Romance Con for people to get it early. I am writing a novella for the Adair Swim series. You finally get Bryce's point of view, and it's Bryce and Josie's clusterfuck of a wedding. So,
you talked about that before.
We have, yes. It has changed quite a bit. I
need deets.
DMs are open, so
I got a lot to say to y'all. I see.
But my social media is all under Ash Writes Romance. I do 2 newsletters a month. So first one is for both readers and authors. I do upcoming releases. So if you have a book coming out, let me know and I'll send you the link to the form. And otherwise, I'm most active on social or on Instagram. So yes, I also sell signed copies on my website.
Yes. And Timber, round us out.
Uh, the only event I have coming up is Black Romance Book Fest in May next year. So that's what I have for now. We'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, I'm not going to Sports Romance Con. I will be looking at it in 2027. I am considering going. So hopefully I do meet everyone at Sports Romance Con. And as for upcoming projects, I have She's a Catch. It's available for pre-order, so it's the final book in my ongoing series. It follows Courtney. So she has a breakup, and they bring her to Vegas for a girls' trip with her sisters. You think they would learn with what happened to Mary Louise, but nope. They decide to go on a girls' trip, and one thing leads to another. Courtney wakes up married to a stranger.
Do you know, I was actually voted most likely to marry a stranger in Vegas in my high school yearbook.
Now you can live that dream in Timber's book.
I love a Wake Up in Vegas trope. Absolute top tier for me. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. So that's what happens in this one. So it's going to be interesting. Oh my goodness. I did not expect that.
You wrote an alternative life for Courtney.
This is my sliding doors moment.
So you can see Harry's, this is what would happen. Yeah, but that's going to come
Had
out
I had enough
in
money
December.
when I was in Vegas for my 21st.
Yeah, so that comes out in December, so I should have all 4 of them ready for Black Romance Book Fest. And after that, it would be my college romance series or a continuation of my current series. It depends on which one I feel inspired to do. I am also venturing into another genre. It's a romantic thriller, and we'll see how that goes. It's inspired by Lincoln Lawyer and Dexter, so it's a female serial analyzer. So that
I had this conversation a few episodes ago with she has a I'm sorry, it was the fantasy. It had fantasy in it, and it was so fascinating. And she had a female serial killer, and I was like, yes,
Women
give me
in
more
male-dominated fields.
It had to stay on brand. So that one I want to release in October to coincide with Domestic Violence Awareness Month, because for that book it is so during the day, and not to spoil it, during the day she's a lawyer who represents domestic violence victims, and at night she unalives the men. So yeah. That's what's coming.
Like, out here just writing my dream girls.
I think I just like chaos.
Or do I want to be here? I can't tell.
But to find me, you can find me on socials at author Tember Sapphire on Instagram. I think it's Tember Sapphire on TikTok, and my Facebook page is author Tember Sapphire. I don't have a website yet. I'm still thinking about if I should get a website or not. But we'll see. But you can find all updates on my Instagram. Or you can find me on Threads. That's my unhinged thoughts. That's where they go.
Same. Thank y'all all for coming on and chatting with me about sports and women needing more representation to do all the things. This has been Rae's Corner. I want to thank again Timber and Anna and Courtney and Brittany and Ashlyn for coming on. Writing is something that we do separately, so be able to come on and kind of talk about the different things, and then hearing how like we kind of intertwine ourselves and unknowingly is so much fun. It's very rewarding. So, and we also got inspired, right?
Yep.
But as a reminder, nobody puts Rae in a corner unless she's gushing over books. We out.